So continued. I posted yesterday the first part of this about consenting to the human experience. And today I want to unpack that even a little bit more. Consent is a really big word in our human construct right now. Me Too movement. What is consent? And so I'm a word nerd, and I look up a lot of words because I think I understand what somebody means when they use that word, but sometimes I'm surprised. So I looked up informed consent, and we normally only use it in it's kind of a legal term for those situations when somebody has a terminal diagnosis and there's an exploratory experimental drug, and basically you're signing literally your life away, saying, I understand that this may not work, probably won't work, and I'm going to die anyway, right? That's informed consent. And it kind of worked me a bit because, like, we're going to die anyway in these human forms. Like, wow. So what is informed consent for the human experience? We're going to die. There are no pills that we can take to prolong life beyond its completion. So what does it really mean to consent? And the word ease kept coming forward. Every year on winter solstice for the last decade, my husband and I write on a piece of paper and put it in the fire what we're giving up. And for the first couple of years, we were giving up fear. Like, we both recognized how much of our life was driven by fear and scarcity, and so that was an interesting exercise. And then for another couple of years, I think I grabbed the word wonder, and but then about 5 years ago, I was really burnt out. I had reached a point in my career where kind of the top of my game, and by all standards of economic and social and professional yardsticks, I had done really, really good stuff. And I'm really proud of the work I did. I feel like I left a legacy of goodness, and yet even with that, my nervous system was saying enough. And so the word ease just became my mantra. If a decision didn't bring me ease, not necessarily be easy, and I want to make that distinction. I've made some really hard choices to take on some things that were not easy at all, but the choice itself was a loving choice for myself. And I found ease in that choice versus the ones we wrestle with because we're fighting with our own issues of self-betrayal and self-abandonment. And one of my mentors early on used this phrase, and I didn't like it when it first came out of his mouth, but it's worked me. All betrayal is self-betrayal. And I was like, wait a minute, that's not true. What about the thing my father did to me? What about the way my mother didn't protect me? What about? And he said, that was their lack of consciousness. It was not about you. That's just unconsciousness spilling over into your world. And I was like, oh, shoot. All betrayal is self-betrayal. And I could go back through my timeline and begin to see situations and people that I did not have the boundaries defined enough to be able to say no thank you, and I went along to get along. Being in the church for as many years as I did, going along to get along, had 4 kids, callings, husband, life, identity, all the things. I mean, we stick with stuff far longer than it serves us. We go against our own enlightened self-interest to a pretty recurring degree until our nervous system breaks and we have, we call it a midlife crisis. I like the term midlife revival, and I think that's what I had. about 5 years ago, I had a midlife revival where I just said, I can't do this anymore. It's out of alignment. It's good work. I could coast and ride this out till I'm ready to really retire and be done. It screwed with our financial plan. So I'm 64 this year, and so this was 59. I was way too early to retire. Our financial planner, this is a cute story. Our financial planner sat me down and he says, Edie, so how long are you going to not work and make any income? And I said, I don't know. I'm burnt out. I don't have any energy to do anything. And he said, well, I need to inform you that your numbers, or your projections, we've mapped out your Social Security, your income, your 401k, and we've planned for you to continue to earn until you're at least 65. And I said, wow, that's a pretty hard calculation for me. How long do you have me living till? And he said, 95. And I said, oh no, I won't live that long. I won't live that long. No, neither of my parents lived past their mid 80s. At that time, I was like 100 pounds overweight. And so I didn't have a long view of my life. And I said, can you play with that algorithm a little bit and back it down to 85? Now, how do my numbers look? And he said, I've never had a client tell me to back their numbers down. I said, do you work for me or not? Back it down. So he backed it down to 85 and he said, yeah, you're going to be okay. If you don't live past 85, the biscuits and the gravy are going to come out even and you're going to be okay. And I said, thank you. And that was the end of that conversation. And it's not that I didn't ever want to earn money again. It's just that the pursuit of money in the past had been about staying safe. Single mom, 4 kids, then I married Stephen, and we were building a life together. We built a business together, built a good income, a good foundation for security. But even still, my nervous system was shot. I had never done the work from my early childhood trauma to heal my nervous system. And I recognized that ease of beingness, that choosing from a place of well-being for myself included a complete recalibration of boundaries for everybody and everything else in my life. And that recalibration of boundaries was not well met in relationships that were not serving me. I got a lot of pushback and a lot of rejection, and it hurt at times. But again, I was in service to my nervous system. My nervous system became a key central focus of my well-being. And over these 5 years, it has changed the entire trajectory of my life. I've lost 50 pounds. I'm still working on the other 50, but I am really good at boundaries now. No more codependencies, no more going along to get along. I can be kind, but I can also say no, thank you, and walk away from relationships that do not serve me, walk away from people and situations that do not bring me ease of beingness. And so consenting to the human experience, I realized, is directly tied to finding that ease of beingness. Like, as long as I continue to operate with my nervous system, as I've come to understand, my access to my higher states of consciousness, my entire energetic system, as long as I tend that system, then my choices become very clear and very easy to make. struggle with, oh, this is, going to hurt somebody's feelings. A dear friend read me the poem by Oriah Mountain Dreamer called The Invitation, and I invite you to go find it on the web. It's really good. And there's a line in it that is not what I'm about to quote you, but it's how I remember it. And I'll talk another time about my neurospicy brain and how I don't remember things very well. I have a working memory issue, memorization issue. And from early childhood stuff, just it's there for me now to just navigate around and come up with creative workaround solutions. But this quote came through in these words: would you rather disappoint another than betray yourself? Would you rather no, that's not even right. Are you willing to disappoint another than betray yourself? And that hit me right between the eyes. Boom. What am I willing to disappoint another rather than betray myself? And I realized I had reached that limit. And sometimes consenting to the human experience requires us to reach that limit of enough. I'm enough. I don't have to be enough for anybody else. And so I'll just leave this little piece with you. Are you willing to disappoint another rather than betray yourself? Why don't you sit with that one for a day? See you next time.